I just got a live signal.
Oh, it's running?
I said I see James Downard is live on my notifications.
Okay, let me get the Ethernet connected up.
Aren't you so glad I can see that?
Whee!
Now let me put it to the hold screen.
Yeah. Okay, let me connect up the little yellow cable.
Warning, due to technical difficulties, we may be starting later than usual.
Yeah.
Did I say something funny?
Yeah, I'm getting the hang of this camera.
Scientist Mel. I love all the old style technology that you got going on there.
That was Peter's homage to steampunk RJ.
Take it away, RJ. We're finally live again.
Well, we're back. And you may notice that the imagery behind me is not quite the same as it was in past weeks because I am on a laptop, which has been a wonderful gift from Scientist Mel, who allowed me to get a technology that was better than my antiquated steam-powered PC. So we're making use of that with a little bit of teething pains, figuring out how to connect it directly to the Ethernet and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully this managed well enough. I realize also that I have to be able to stick the information that's in the show kind of after the fact rather than before. So I'll be putting the information that we were going to have last week in the thing after the stream has already been done, and that's just a little minor bit, but we'll get used to it. So first order of business, well, Tornado is in the field as well. My co-author Jackson on The Rocks Were There is busy doing the work.
And RJ has popped out for a second because he's still working on, his laptop.
So yes, due to technical difficulties, we may be starting earlier than usual. We may also be suffering from some slight problems, so just hang in there, everybody. Trust me, you've all seen worse.
RJ's back.
I could not have timed that any better.
Yeah, the one advantage of the newer technology and this laptop is that it's faster getting back when we have difficulties. Anyway, this is going to be a situation from now on in the fact that the internet that I have available is the internet that I have available, and so we just live with it. So we were in the process last week of continuing to deal with the exciting world of
replacing jack shit.
Replacing Darwin, Nathaniel Jeanson, which in the way of creationist books has no index and it has no bibliography, which means you don't know what the hell's in it except for the finely printed technical references or not that pop up in the notes. So what I've been doing, as I did with the Rupert and Sanford book, Contested Bones, is generating a reference bibliography and tracking down all the sources and finding out whether they're dealing with them accurately or not. By the way, a little shameless plug for Gutsick Gibbon Erica, because she is starting to do an analysis of Sanford as well. I already have the reference bibliography done on that, so I've shot her the reference bibliography and the spreadsheet analysis that she's going to be able to draw on from her end, specifically on paleoanthropology, because that's the topic of the book, and she's way more expert than I am. But
let me guess. Let me guess. It's a bunch of young Earth creationist twaddle.
Yeah.
How did I guess?
You know, it's I think it's the gremlins. I think it's the
Leave a
internet
dead
gremlins.
chicken over the keyboard. We need a dead chicken. Or
A
some
dead
taco
chicken.
meat.
I'm telling you, it's like he pops in and out, but at least the time between the two isn't so bad. Is it storming?
Again.
Is it storming where you are?
It is an advantage that it's a little faster on the uptake on these things. I'm amazed any of this technology works well. But besides, you're also seeing a slightly different angle of the room because the camera is located in a different spot, so you get to see some of my family members up on the way corner up there, up on the wall. Whoop. And a slightly different view of my CD and DVD collection. Anyway, Gutsick Gibbon is going to be dealing with the fact that she knows a great deal about the technical literature, but how can you tell right off the bat whether or not Roop and Sanford have cited a particular work if you don't have their reference bibliography? So she's going to be able to speed up the process of her own analysis because she'll be able to see what's in it and what isn't based upon bibliography. Information flow is everything. And then she can put her caliper of the precise understanding of the technical literature in a way that's more sophisticated than I am, because she's in the field and I'm just a little lowly scholar with a big mouth out in the middle of Spokane. So anyway, what we had done or had planned to do on the previous episode, it got all disconnected. There was Jeanson is continuing in this chapter to discuss basic colonial science. He put up a paper by Hockedlinger, and then there's also a 2015 one on the human transcriptome, and those open access, so I'll be able to put them in the links after the video is concluded, and we'll put that post up. There was a footnote in his book that had an extended quote from BioLogos on synonymous substitutions, which wasn't really that big deal at BioLogos, and so I was kind of wondering why Sanford was making such a big deal out of this. I'm wondering how much of this is stuff he's setting up to kind of demark the debate before he gets to his shoe-dropping chapters where he's arguing for genetic entropy and the notion that almost all of what we would consider modern species originated after the flood, which is one of apparently the arguments
bullshit.
Yes, mega bullshit. And Jeanson isn't alone in this. Andrew Snelling insists, and we'll be discussing that in the new Rocks Were There chapters for the second volume of the book. Snelling is seriously contending that all of the mastodons and mammoths, all of them that are in the fossil record, were generated after the flood.
Bullshit.
And so, and how did they get in the fossil record then? Since that's produced from the flood. So there's shall we say, a certain degree of going on in the current young Earth creationist attempt to actually...
It's like everything he says is used to prop up, oh, it was the flood. Well, where's the fossil record come from? Oh, that came from the flood.
Exactly. And that's why the issues about where do you indicate, if fossilization is a process that only occurs in the flood, then how far down the road do you have to allow for the flood to happen to accommodate fossils? And because they tend not to be paleontologists, creationists, they don't viscerally bump into this area. And the moment they start trying to fill in those gaps, that's when they discover, oh dear, this is getting to be a little more problematic than we thought. And then they get into terrible trouble. Anyway, left out.
He's freezing.
It's almost as if he didn't think any of this through.
It's okay. I think it's mainly his internet
I'm
and
talking about Ruth Stanford and Nathaniel Jeanson. It's almost as if they
sorry.
don't think any of this through.
Yes, that's pretty much the case most of the time. This is also why I don't argue with creationists and I don't debate them because I
Oh, it's
lack
true
the
because
time
I
or
say it's
patience.
true.
I mean, I just lack the patience. If somebody wants to have like a fruitful discussion about evolution, what the evidence is, have, just a discussion.
Don't use the word evidences. Young Earth creationists love that, and I don't like it when
Well,
that
I
word is.
I have called Kent Hovind a couple times. I think he still takes my calls. He texted me when I tried to call him
How does
once.
he still take your calls?
I don't know. I've only called him like twice,
I
and
think you pissed him off. It's like with how many times you pissed him off. I'm surprised he doesn't. I'm surprised
I
he
don't
still
think I
lets it
made him
call.
mad. I don't think I made Kent Hovind mad at all. I think he actually likes it when I call him.
Because he thinks he can sway an atheist over the being.
I'm back.
Hey, RJ. No, I
As I
call him
was,
and say that I'm a teacher and that I need his input. And then he gives me all of his garbage. And then I go, okay, thank you for the laws. So
yes.
that's what I do. So,
Well, can you imagine how frustrating it must have been for somebody like Charles Darwin to do that very process, except it's all by long distance mail? And to where, but he's doing
mm,
exactly that same thing of where he wants to find out stuff from people who live in another country or around the world, and he's got to send a carefully worded letter to them, and it goes away on the boat, and then months and months and months later, he gets some answer to it, and then
oh,
oh, that's kind of almost answering my question. Let me write letter number two and put that on the boat. Months and months and months,
to
the
clarify.
yeah, and so you have to marvel. Anybody who knows anything about the Darwin scholar, the archives and stuff, you have to marvel at the effing patience of the guy. And it's probably as well because he was so damn curious and relentless that nothing is going to stop him. So we should have that same principle as nothing is going to stop RJ from getting back into the stream yard, no matter what. So anyway, the Jeanson part is that he's fielding material that he had no part in doing, and it's material that has connections to evolutionary thinking that he never discusses. And we're going to see whether or not in future episodes whether or not he ever actually works out a model that can really account for all the data. Now I'll
In
get
other
to
words,
jump.
he's talking out his ass. Just put it that
Yeah,
way.
I'll get to part two in a hurry because I also want to give a little bit of a reprise, which has occurred since the previous episode of the debate that I had with NephilimFree on the matter of abiogenesis. And but
Oh,
anyway, before we got to that,
whiffle.
yeah.
Just whiffle.
Anyway, the Institute for Creation Research put up a post, and I'll be putting the link up in that to that as well, about a coloring book to while away the time during COVID isolation. So they've got a little thing here. Let's see if we got
Mhm.
pretty well there.
Yeah, there's a little
There.
cut. Okay.
Isn't that cute? It's
Mhm.
which of these was found with dinosaur fossils. And they've got trees and dragonflies and dinosaurs and all this. And they're accurate in the sense that anything that existed in the Mesozoic, which would include pterosaurs and dinosaurs, but not giraffes and not elk and the like, they're correctly pegging them as being with dinosaur fossils. But conspicuously absent, of course, on the little coloring book are people. And it is, after all, the contention of the Biloxi River pushers and all that, human beings and dinos live together.
Mhm.
That we had like domesticated dinosaurs and, the idea of
Damn
saddles
it!
on
This
a
isn't Ark
ceratopsid.
Survival Evolved.
Well, I thought we
Yeah.
were doing Fred Flintstone for a little bit. I thought
Well,
Dino,
that's kind of, that's yabba dabba doo. That's
Yeah.
basically what we're working out on. That they've got to argue that things are contemporary.
When they're not.
We could play Mad Libs with RJ. His internet drops out. Contemporary, fill in a noun. Contemporary, fill in a verb. So we're getting RJ to where he needs to be tech wise, but we think he's having his internet is one of the main issues. But he has new tech and he's able to clear, as you can tell, clearer image. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. So we should start a hashtag pray for RJ's internet on Twitter. You think that will pick up? We say pray for RJ's internet. Anywho, so I don't debate creationists. I don't do that if they're like fundamentalist. I don't do the debates. I've been asked before, and RJ has far more patience and intrigue in that than I do. Because I'd be like, yeah, no, I could like be watching a movie right now.
I think my thought would be somewhere along similar lines, except it would be like, what you've just said is so fucking dumb.
I'd
start going into 4-letter words. Of course, Kent Hovind would then say, that man is not very intelligent because he only uses 4-letter words.
Oh, goodness. RJ, your guests cannot connect to their mic cam. You have to connect your mic and cam before you can join the stream for some reason. There we go. I think we can do this now. We're adding RJ.
Still, I'd basically be called out by Kent because I would use 4-letter words. And other numbered letter words.
I call those colorful adjectives.
I'd be calling them colorful adjectives, like you phrase it. Because that's all he'd be deserving of.
Well, I should give Kent Hovind a call again sometime and see if he'll take my call.
The man is a con. He's a con artist.
And we're both in one party states, so I'm in a one-party state. So I can stream my conversations with him. And he just says the same stuff, and then I get off the phone, and then I laugh a lot. But I don't know. I tried to call him once in the middle of a live stream, and he texted me back, and he says, "Can I call you back in a minute?" I said, "Okay." He was like, "Can you call back? I'm almost done with this service."
Now, of course, I'd love to just call Kent and say, no, I'd like you to pick up the phone right now, so that way everyone can hear how dumb you sound.
That's always fun. I try not to do that too often because I feel like that's like a pretty heavy troll, and I don't really want to be an abusive person, and so...
True.
First of all, I'm a methods guy, so I like to probe the methods. I knew pretty much what he was going to say anyway. He's not terribly original. So I wanted to frame my response, which I got to deliver first, on the whole idea of why is it that they're obsessing about origins of life? And so it's the origins or bust issue, the fact that anti-evolutionists think that if they can just short circuit life to start.
Oh, it gets even worse because he says this is too complex, therefore God.
Is that what they call the God of the gaps? Is that what that is?
That's irreducible complexity.
I don't argue creationists.
Like, we don't know how that could have happened, therefore we don't know how this happened, therefore God did it.
Oh, okay.
That's God of the gaps. Irreducible complexity is this is too complex for it to evolve naturally, therefore God.
See, I don't argue
still be
with them.
God of the gaps, but still. But when they start doing that, it's like, when you're in a debate, you have to present evidence. So where's your evidence of a special creation?
Wow.
Oh, it's all irreducibly complex. Therefore, it can't have evolved naturally. You're doing
like
the negative evidence. You're doing negative evidence against this position in hopes that if you disprove it, you'll automatically prove the other proposition true. But that's not how it works. I want
See.
positive evidence. Your job is to convince me that I'm. Your job is to convince me through presentation of evidence. Not your job is not to gaslight me and guilt trip me into thinking the other way, because
Right.
that is gaslighting.
Right.
Yeah, well, Neff is remarkably inept when it comes to persuading people that don't already agree with him, and which is not all that surprising. I knew that I wasn't going to be persuading him, and the camps are all. We haven't settled this issue. I made a point of saying that we haven't settled the origin.
Oh my goodness. I just feel like I wonder how much RJ's internet would cost. I would give some of my Patreon money to help him with his internet if I can do that. Because I'm not making as much content.
What's his
as
ISP?
like. I don't. Well, I can't say like we're broadcasting right now, man. I don't know. I don't know. I think he has a cable service along with his internet.
My God, even my cable service, even my internet's better than his.
I live out in the country, like for real. There's like farmland everywhere, and we have exactly one service, and it's not any of the major people, and I pay for the highest amount. Yeah, I think in the chat, hey guys. So I'm just going to say hi to people in the chat really quickly. We got Vandalia, 1998. How you doing? Glad you're here. Just a
We've got all
Walking
kinds
Fish.
of problems.
What's up? Zmorph 42. Glad you're here. Vesta Freya. Is it Freya or Freya? I don't want to say that wrong. I'm really bad with names. What's up?
I think it might be Freya, like Freya Crescent from Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it might be Freya, like, Thor's mom. Carly Storer. What's up? His internet goes in and out. He has new tech, and we know it works great. But for some reason, his internet is just kind of, angry at him. I don't know if he gave the appropriate sacrifices to the internet gods. Maybe he didn't do that. I hear they demand Doritos and, Doritos and, I don't know, usually like an old Nintendo game. Something. Don't give them E.T. from Atari. That will just make them angry. So,
E.T. Fuck off.
I have an E.T. Atari game and an original Atari. Mine's like right over there. But, we're trying the best we can. I wonder if moving forward, if I'm going to have a separate video service just for RJ and everybody else will do this other thing. That's another thing that we're considering. By the way, I'll be given. I'm gonna plug myself a bit, I guess, because I'm not certain what else to do outside of just keep talking to fill in the dead air. But I will be giving a lecture to graduate students in Denmark at one of their universities, talking about science communication and the ways to generate content. So, guest lecturer. That's pretty cool. Vesta says Jolt Cola seems to work when appeasing the computer gods. Man, I have not had a Jolt Cola in a very long time.
What's a Jolt Cola?
It's Jolt Cola is like Red Bull except Coke flavor.
I'm getting conniption fits partly from me here. For a minute, StreamYard said, well, I don't have an internet. I'm sorry, but I do. Anyway, let me quickly read my patrons, which I didn't get to last week because we had such a difficulty on patrons. We've got new patrons floating around here.
Yay for new patrons.
Yes. Oh, good gravy.
I have 2 sonic screwdrivers for new patrons, and he's gone again. Wait, did he pop off? Okay. Okay, he's back.
Our colleagues, Kendrill and Eric Rowley and Benjamin Simpson, Speed of Sound, Surus Eshi, our researchers, Travis Adams, Ian Chen, Convert Me, Stephen Early, New, Eat Meal, James Fitzwater, History Minor, Ralph McFadden, and Pelagia, assistant researchers, Doranku and Todas Real, and our friends Daniel and Steve Bauman and Marigail Beddoes, Insects Are Cool, Devin Reeves, Morton Nielsen, Paul the Skeptics, Puffaluffagus, Bo Rasmussen, Alex Stone, Paul Williams, and then the legacy patrons that helped in any ways they could. And so I'm still very grateful. Jan and Jody and Mike, John, Keith, Andrew, Dyer, Uwe, Mona, Brad, Daniel, Nyanya, Staggles, Sunsky, Stone, Ugly German Truths, Everett, Incense, and Sewer. Thank you all for that. I know how troubled everybody is in this time frame. Everybody is just uncertain as to what the shit's going to happen in the next month. And the fact that people have stuck out, especially when the fact that I didn't do a show last week, that you're here for the show theoretically and the talking head and the information that's in there. So I continue to thank you, and I'm extremely grateful for all the help you've been able to do and all of the help that everybody been doing.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try to fix it. It makes the sound and everything. Okay, RJ, I'm fixing that for you. See, he's back now. It's better, right? Oh God.
What, the noise I'm making?
No, I just mean it's just, his internet. It's just I think he needs to have a technician out to look at his internet and possibly get a new modem. He's plugged directly into his internet, and it's a brand new laptop. Well, it's refurbished, but it's brand new pretty much. Much better than his desktop. So,
in other words, his PC is crap.
I wouldn't say that. It served him and does what it needs to
Okay,
do.
his internet is crap.
His internet I think his internet's the problem. But at least he has a laptop that he's working with. I'll see if I can pull him up, because I have 3 monitors, so I can pull him up on a completely separate screen, like a different video.
You have an entire space shuttle system on your computer?
Almost. I'm very grateful for the fact I crowdfunded my computer, which was really nice. People helped me boost that, and then I inherited some equipment from a late family member, so that's kind of sad. But I do have 3 monitors, so I can pull him in and put him with a separate video service if this one isn't working with his internet. If it's too demanding on his internet, I'll just pull him in and screen capture that. It'll just be difficult. Well, no. I would be able to share my audio with the rest of the crowd, so he would still be able to hear. Everybody would still be able to hear each other. So I will sort it out. New patron Zmorph42. What's up? You're back, RJ.
I feel like a ping pong ball here today.
Hey, we got a new patron.
Yes, Stephen Early.
He's in the chat.
And I'm entirely grateful to everybody on all of that front. Anyway, to finish Nephilim's story, Nephilim was immediately asking me to do a debate on the mechanisms of evolution. And I said, sure, let's talk about therapsids. You give your creationist phenomenology model, and I'll give the evolution model. And he said, oh, no. Want to do that. He wants to talk about the mechanisms without ever applying it to anything. Well, that's because creationism is useless. And
origins are bust, right?
Yeah. And he has his little audience of people that like to do stuff and have the things they say. But I keep on reminding. In fact, I started off the debate by saying nothing we say in this debate matters. Nobody's going to be, none of the science is going to change. None of the scientists involved are going to be throwing up their hands in despair. Jack Sostak and John Sutherland don't watch us. They're not paying attention to us. They're not paying attention to Nephilim. They're not going to alter any of their viewpoints based on what pundits say on a video. And you always have to bear that in mind. I mean, I have no illusions that the vast body of people at the National Academy of Sciences are hanging on my every word every week. No, it isn't how it works. But the job of people at my level is to pay attention to the people at the National Academy of Sciences and their various work and filter that through as best I can and kind of fight on their behalf because they're too busy doing the work. Although you do have some that engage in these areas. Nathan Lentz, for example, who's been a guest on the show in previous months, is doing a thing with the National Center for Science Education and others coming up in later in the month on the bad science of intelligent design. And they're going to be doing a Zoom cast on that, and I'm going to be watching that and taking notes and all that as well. We could all make use of that network. The little coterie of friends that we're generating with Gutsick Gibbon and Corporal Anon and Dan Stern Cardinale and all the rest, and Dr. Dino, to use source methods in our criticisms as widely as possible. We want to broaden that. So there is an agenda. RJ has an agenda. I want everyone to become devout methodologists. Not Methodists, methodologists.
Methodists.
And everybody can do it. In a sense, everybody does do it in some way or another. When a baseball aficionado is looking at the stats and somebody says a particular player is bad or good, and they go, well, wait a minute, what about that thing? They're doing source methods. The point is that people don't necessarily translate that into larger context where you have to vet everything and you have to pay attention to build up a reliability measure. So when I'm watching Gutsick, Gibbon, Erica's videos, I'm checking the notes, the references that are being brought up, and confirming everything, of course, because they're sound, rigorous people. I'm not getting warning flags, misrepresentation of source material. But you do that when you deal with NephilimFree. The issue that came up during the course of our debate, he brought up a quote from this particular paper here, and I think I may be able to put the linkage up to it. I don't know whether it's open access or not. I think it is. But I already had in my reference bibliography, but I didn't have my bibliography open during the debate, so I couldn't check. But the problem is it was like pulling teeth and getting him to stop that image to the point where anybody watching the show could write down the title of the paper so they could check it out for themselves. He wanted to dash and dash and dash ahead. So they drop these things, boom, 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 and they won't slow down. Well, the problem is that he misrepresented the contents of the paper. He simply doesn't understand what it says. And so you can view his debate and what he was asserting about the supposedly what the scientists hadn't found what they had, which was what they had done. They took a bunch of little peptide components and just strung them together in random combinations, but they were constructed to be hydrophobic and hydrophilic alternating, which is not very usual in modern biology, but is thought to be a possible thing because they would nest together this way. And then just set them loose in an environment to see what they would do. And it turns out they produced all sorts of peptide bondings with other molecules that make perfect sense in terms of a prebiotic environment. So this is yet one more little brick in the wall, building up an understanding of what prebiotic, long before the last universal common ancestor biology, was doing. And it's hard work. It requires effort. And then you get the Nephs of the world that zip in and link to the paper or a bit of it and completely misunderstand it and then just basically thumb their nose at it. They're not doing any of the work. And I give much more credence to the people who do the work than the ones who don't. That's just the way I am. And I want that same principle to be applied everywhere. Don't take any of my word for it in any of my videos. And when this is posted, I'll put the references and stuff that I can so that you can follow up on that as well. And I want you to. and there will be times when you'll discover things that we didn't know about. In that Gutsick Gibbon piece that she did that I was just analyzing earlier today and yesterday, she had technical literature on that criticism of standing for truth that I didn't have in my reference bibliography. Really neat stuff on the evolution of the human foot in that from just a couple years ago that I wasn't aware of. And that's the advantage of a network of like-minded people, is that nobody has time. I don't have time. You don't have time, Mel. Tornado, there's no way that you can cover everything that you could possibly know. But if you have a network of people who can do that, you can jumpstart the process and triage and work out, oh, this is the top interesting. You got to see this paper. And that saves you the time. And you can do the same thing for them, bringing up information that they didn't know, like that bibliography for Rupi and Sanford.
Oh, gosh, he was on a roll. Like, he was on a roll. I was like, he's going to drop out anytime. And I was just feeling, I'm like, man, he's on a roll. He's come back. At least it didn't last so long. And the wheel turns. As the wheel turns. It's like a new soap opera for R.J. Downard. The battles with his internet. One man stands before the internet and goes, I challenge you to a duel. We could probably turn RJ's entire story into a graphic novel if we personify the internet somehow. He's fighting it. He's gone again. So, evolution's a cool thing, guys.
Yes, it is.
I'm a chemistry person. Yeah, that's a good point, Zmore42. He does probably need to reboot his modem and possibly clear out the cache. You know what I mean? I feel like I know a lot of tech people. Who is the producer of RJ's show since his internet won't let him be? That would be me. I'm running the show technically. I'm Jackson at the moment because Jackson's working. But normally I'm not on the show. I'm behind the scenes.
Back again briefly. Just imagine all of my discussion put into a blender, and what you get are tiny little fragments at this time. But at least I'm back on the thing. StreamYard is having conniption fits every once in a while. It thinks suddenly that there isn't an internet when there clearly is. And so this are circumstances, how much of that we can resolve in times to come if I can ever get connected up with my internet provider to be able to actually have an organism to help with whatever needs to be done. I don't know. But anyway, it is fair to say that clumsily, ineptly, stupidly, I've managed to do more or less of an episode this time around. I'll put a little reminder of everybody. The Rocks Were There, tiny little book that is perfectly good as a paperweight or to bang people over the head that don't like things, and also a delightful science read that goes into why the Answers in Genesis books are piles of dingoes' kidneys. And there will be a volume 2 next year, which Jackson and I are working on, that we'll be catching up to speed on a lot of the material that had come out since the first book came out, so that it will be as up-to-date and as devastating as Volume 1 was. It actually does have a detailed index and actual references that you can follow up on, and you want to document everything so that it's quite clear. All of the things that certain anti-evolutionists seem to have a bit of a problem with. And there we go. So
if you would like to look at a commercial of The Rocks Were There, I can play that just for a moment. I'm gonna
I love the fact that RJ referred to creationist books as a pile of dingo's kidneys.
Dingo's kidneys. Well, here's a lovely commercial for The Rocks Were There.
there we go. Commercial.
I'm playing a commercial for your book really quickly.
Perfect. Now, and we're at the end of the show here, so when that's over, we can conclude that. Peter did a really nice little ad for the Rockstar there. Jackson and I are both extremely proud of the book. We put a lot of effort into it. We are very pleased with how widespread it is and accurate and funny. It's Jackson doesn't appreciate what a droll sense of humor Jackson has. He thinks I'm the rib tickler funny one and more prone to direct joke. I admit, stiletto slice people to shred humor is a bit more my.
Hey,
but it is indeed a useful volume that you can add to your collection. And Evolution Slam Dunk, the book that I did on the reptile mammal transition, we allude to it quite a lot in the book. But yeah, get the whole book, because it is specifically on the fossil case that, to me, made me an evolutionist. And every anti-evolutionist screws up on it. So if you know the information in Slam Dunk, you are way ahead of them, and you can just drop that on them like an anvil. Thank you again, Mel, for hosting, and Tornado. I'm hoping you were having delightful banter during the circle wheelie times when I've not been on.
Circle wheelie, he says.
Circle wheelies. Oh gosh, and he's zapped out again. Okay, so things we're gonna do moving forward. Gonna fix his modem. I'm gonna talk to him about that. Secondly, going to see if I can have a separate video service just to stream in RJ. I will compile that together. We're gonna work on that and get RJ running and get him with the show going. But it's just, I'll figure out what to do about his internet to help with the bandwidth, because StreamYards might be a bit too heavy on his bandwidth. So I will sort
Can't
that.
talk right now. I've got some other things to do. Ah, shit.
When is the audio book version coming? I don't know. That's something I can ask RJ. Would we want an unabridged version or an abridged version?
Sorry. I was busy dealing with my game and YouTube and all that all together. So yeah, I'm going to take off now. So see ya.
Right. See you later, Tornado Pelt. We'll see if RJ comes back momentarily. And if he doesn't, then I will sign off for him. So, guys, like, share, subscribe. Get involved in Evolution Hour. You can share the videos that he does. Share the books. They're fantastic. I have the rocks ribbit there sitting right over there. So I'll give it another minute or so, and I'll take your questions and forward them over to RJ. I'm behind the scenes. I'm not normally on the show. I kind of run the show for him from time to time. It says RJ over here. I'm not RJ. But that's okay. I'm not Jackson either. But sometimes when Jackson's not on the show, I pop on to give another face, I suppose, to the thing. So I guess I will wrap this up for RJ since he's having a hard time getting back in. It has been amazing. It has been amazing being here with you guys. If you want to check out my work, you can. I do things for different people in the community, including my own show, scientistmel.com, youtube.com/scientistmel. Have a fantastic Wednesday night, and we will sort out these issues for RJ so he can be regular, strong, and putting on the show for you. See you guys next time. Bye.